Hey everyone, my name is Savannah and today we are back with another zoo vlog, this time of the San Diego Zoo, my home zoo, specifically going to take a look at their new exhibit area, Basecamp. Now I say new, it is the newest part of the San Diego Zoo, but this footage is actually back from January of 2023. I went a while ago and I'm terrible at putting together vlog footage and then doing the voiceover and actually getting it into a video on the channel. So here we are some months later, finally touring the zoo. Obviously this first part's going to be the main entrance and then walking up to what would be their flamingos. However, at this point taking the footage, they were still off exhibit due to HPAI, the avian flu that has been going around in Southern California, just for safety precautions. I'm not quite sure yet if they're back on exhibit now or not, but at time of recording, they weren't. We took a quick stop at the reptile house just to take a look at all of these guys first on our way over to Basecamp because it is one of Matt's favorite collection of exhibits here at the zoo, and we have a blast going through trying to find each individual species inside their little exhibits because a lot of them camouflage very, very well. You can see that guy sitting there with a big ol' yawn. I didn't even stop because I didn't notice it until I looked at the footage back. But just quickly walking by all of these little enclosures, and they all have different snakes or lizards or various kinds of reptiles in them. It's really neat to see little captured, like little boxes of different habitats for their different animals as you kind of go through. The zoo does a really good job at setting all of these little enclosures up with a lot of detail and a lot of things for the animals to climb on and hide under and things like that. We have a little napping guy. I apologize. I am not going to remember all of the different species that I stopped and got some footage of specifically. This one was super pretty because it was all white, and I think they had a sign there talking about albino animals and how albinism in the wild is actually a detriment because it takes away the animal's complete ability to camouflage. So usually albino animals in the wild do not thrive. They are usually picked off pretty easy because predators can spot them very, very easily. We got some little swimming turtles here, and just wait until we get to the little turtle that like jumps miles in turtle measurement. He jumps off this giant rock and tumbles and lands into his pond. And I got the whole thing on footage, so we'll check that out in just a minute. I think this is the Gila monster. I'm almost, or it's some kind of skink. Oh no. Okay, I told myself I wasn't going to guess at what animals they were, so I'm not going to guess. This is a giant snake. My ability to identify different reptile species is really, really limited and not very good at all. So just continuing to look at a few more of these exhibits. It's basically one giant like rectangle. You can walk all the way around on the inside here, and there's exhibits on each of the four sides of the rectangular building. And this is this little turtle. Look at him. He's slipping. He's trying to hold on. He's just trying to get past his friend, really, is what he's trying to do. You can see his neck reaching way out. He's trying so hard. But he's unsuccessful, so he's gonna fall here in a minute. And we were laughing at him, you know, trying not to shame him, but look at his little feet splay out. You can kind of see me laughing in the reflection of the glass. I tried to hold the camera so still, but now he's good. You know, he landed down in the second body of water and kind of just somersaulted down there. I thought it was pretty funny. You don't see turtles usually move a whole lot, so it was kind of funny to see him up and active. And now we are to the new part of the zoo. So in addition to Basecamp, right outside of the entrance to what Basecamp is this Komodo dragon exhibit, which is almost 360 degrees all the way around you, minus the little opening. But I believe, if I remember correctly, it's two exhibits that are shiftable between each exhibit. And they have, I believe, a breeding pair of Komodo dragons right now, which they are hoping to be successful with. But that way they can keep males and females or just different individuals separate from one another throughout their breeding seasons when it's the off season, to prevent, aggression and things like that. I don't know a whole lot about breeding or Komodo dragons at all. But you can see one of them sitting here on this little sunning rock. It was incredibly humid and warm inside this building. It's got a very like bubble shaped glass roof on it. So it makes it great for the Komodo dragons. They absolutely love it, but it does fog up the glass quite a bit. So seeing them is a bit difficult, but you can kind of usually get a glimpse at them, you know, between the fogged up portions of it. And then one of my favorite parts about the new exhibit is this one here, this walkthrough aviary. This is going to have a whole bunch of songbirds and hummingbirds and a whole bunch of different things. You can see we got to step on a foot bath there just as protection again against the avian influenza. We come on in here and look at how gorgeous this is. The landscaping and the design. And it was so quiet. We got there right at opening and there was not a single other person in here the whole time we were hanging out. I do go through and film this really quick walkthrough and I catch a couple birds on camera, but we probably spent about 40 minutes just hanging out in here, watching the birds do their thing. It's one of my favorite things to do. If you don't know, I do work with birds professionally, and so I find them very interesting, and I absolutely love watching their different behaviors and watching them interact with one another. So we spent a good amount of time in here, and I found this tiny little hummingbird just sitting on the wire and didn't really mind me walking up to him whatsoever. So he just kind of hangs out and then eventually flies away. But how cool is that? How close to a hummingbird do you get to get normally other than that? That was pretty cool. But the whole thing is so well designed. The plants are all so pretty, and just like I said, the landscaping and the setup, everything is just gorgeous. You can see a couple little birds down there. I believe those were little rails sitting on logs in the water. And yeah, I just absolutely love this little aviary. Again, one of the new exhibits put in this is right across from the Komodo dragon exhibit. You can see a couple more little rails on the logs there. Not really doing much, just kind of hanging out. You know, they don't really have to do much. They have everything provided for them. Exiting the aviary, and then we're going to head over to the new Basecamp area, which is primarily the replacement of the children's zoo. So there is a lot of children-focused stuff over there. Still highly recommend it for adults. I still had a blast going through. But the majority of what you're going to see in here are going to be the invertebrates. They have so many invertebrate enclosures with all sorts of different invertebrates. So it's pretty cool to go through and see all of them. If you don't really like bugs and things, you probably won't like it. But this is the first building we're going to walk into, Spineless Marvels, which is absolutely, again, just gorgeous. Everything is bright and shiny new. So it's really cool to walk in and see everything when it's like totally new. You know, nobody's ruined it. It's not dirty or anything like that. It's not worn down. You know, the San Diego Zoo is a pretty, what's the word? It's a pretty prestigious, I guess, zoo. You know, things are usually very pretty and high end and things like that. But the technology that they have integrated into this building, you know, the whole ceiling is a projection, and then you've got all these different little enclosures with different animals in them, huge murals, there's little microscopes, and that rectangle thing in the middle is like a touch screen game that lets kids play and experience how an ecosystem interacts with one another. Like there's spiders and flowers and butterflies and things that you like play, and you know, each of them like eat each other and then they pollinate things, and like, you know, it just explains an ecosystem to children on that little touchscreen flat screen table thing. And then inside this building too is where they have their bee colony. So this entire wall is all about pollinators, and then in these little red lit up windows is the actual beehive itself with all the bees on the honeycomb. So you get a little look at that, and I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know if I've ever really seen this in person before, like an actual beehive. So it's really pretty, and then obviously the whole room is decorated with all this like honeycomb stuff all over the place. Lots of education. It's just beautiful. And then we walk into here, which is what I believe will be like the butterfly room. Much like the San Diego Zoo Safari Park has a butterfly aviary or butterfly greenhouse. This is the area I believe starting in June is going to have butterflies, but I could be wrong on that. This is where the leafcutter ants are. And typically at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park, the leafcutter ants were always in with the butterflies. So they've been brought here and their colony is thriving and really cool to watch. We'll get to see them kind of crawling up this log here is what you're seeing on screen. And then they go back and they have these little tunnels and they actually let you get to see where they're bringing the leaves and where they're growing the fungus and stuff that they feed on and whatnot. So we'll take a look at that in just a second. There's an exhibit right below us, but there wasn't really anything on it, or in it, so I'm not quite sure what it is set up for. But we're gonna leave this little room. I can't wait to go back and see when or if they have butterflies, because that's another one of my favorite things to see at the Safari Park, the Wild Animal Park, the sister park of the San Diego Zoo. But we're exiting here, and now we're going to see some mammals. So out here, they have 3 different exhibits. It's a tamandua, a caracal, and a binturong. And unfortunately, the caracal was the only one that was not out on exhibit. It must have been back in its little house. But right there on the right is the tamandua, which you'll see climbing around in just a little while. It was very active. This middle one was supposed to be the caracal, but I waited for a while because they're one of my favorite animals to see. And I did not see them come out onto exhibit. And then this binturong looks like such an old little man, but he was cool. He was pretty active walking around. He'll walk out to this little platform here in a second so you can see him kind of move. These exhibits are so well designed. They're very open air. You know, it kind of, if you squint your eyes and don't pay attention to the mesh and stuff, it almost doesn't feel like the animal's in an enclosure. Obviously they are. Lots of climbing stuff, lots of plants, very catered to the different specific animals that they need. But I absolutely love this kind of style of enclosure because, again, if you kind of squint your eyes and don't pay attention too much, the mesh kind of almost goes away and you're just kind of sitting here with the animal. But yeah, he came down, was just kind of exploring, sitting on top of his little house. He was the only one in there as far as I can see, he or she, I'm not quite sure if it was a male or a female. And then the tamandua as well was all by itself. I'm not sure if it was a male or a female, but it was all by itself as well. So we sat here and we watched them for quite a while. It was pretty gross out for San Diego standards. You can see it's kind of foggy and cloudy and whatnot, which normally is not the case. But, you know, in January, we do actually get rain despite what the rest of the world might think. It does rain in San Diego, and as we were leaving the zoo that morning, it actually did start to really rain. So we had beautiful, perfect timing. We didn't have to walk around in the rain so much. But I actually do prefer when it sprinkles or rains because it tends to scare away all of the locals and things are less crowded. So I do like that. It's a little bit of a bonus when the weather is kind of crappy out. But there's our little tamandua walking across his little sticks across the ground. Such funny little animals. He kind of like went back and then disappeared. I wish he would have stayed out a little bit later. We'll get another little peek at him in just a minute, but we're going to continue on into another building, which I don't remember if this one has a title or a name. It might say up there, it says something critters up top of that door. I didn't film it, so I don't remember what it says. But inside here is going to be some more reptiles and things. So there is an iguana, I think, to the right. All of the signs on all of these little enclosures are all electronic. They're all like screens, which is really helpful too. I imagine if they have to switch them out and stuff, it's really easy to change the picture that's displayed on there. But they're all lit up and whatnot, so you can easily read them. And then we have like a little laboratory area. They have like a little incubation center in the front when we first walked in and whatnot. So yeah, this is mostly reptiles, and there might have been a couple amphibians in here, but no invertebrates like the other building was. Exiting this one, we're coming out into the main kind of central area of what is Basecamp. Just the decorations and the aesthetic and all that is all beautiful. So obviously I do these vlogs Because one, I am very interested in zoos, zoo architecture and design and layout and all that kind of stuff. But it's for inspiration for Planet Zoo. If you're looking for color palettes or design or just general inspiration, these little videos are really helpful for me. So hopefully they're helpful for you. What we just passed was like a little stage that keepers can bring animal ambassadors out onto and give little presentations. So that was pretty cool. I didn't actually wait for a presentation, but it was cool to see like the little area. You could see they clearly had it set up for different types of animals. The big stick branch thing could hold various little, climbing reptiles or parrots or, something like that. And then little rocks set up for animals that don't climb, that just want to sit on like a little platform. We're going to go over into like the main, kid type area. They've got these bridges and ropes to climb and lots of water features to play in. So it's pretty cool. But again, we were there so early. There was like nobody here, which makes filming absolutely perfect because you get to see everything without, humans around. Going over here, stepping across this like rope platform thing to walk on, which was a little bit uneven, so I did my best to hold the camera still. I believe these are the squirrel monkeys. I think they're the little monkeys running around, and I totally forget exactly what species they are, but I think they're squirrel monkeys. There's a little baby in there holding on to mom's back, which is absolutely adorable. But these guys were so active and running around the whole time. They came up close to the fence over here, and we kind of watched them. One of them climbed way, way up onto the side of the enclosure. And then you could see the little baby on mom's back way down there. Is so adorable. They were so fun to watch. We'll go down and get a better view at the base of their enclosure in just a minute. But first, I'm going to walk across this really wiggly, very unstable rope bridge. I was so afraid that I was going to fall because I was obviously holding the camera with one hand. And then, my other hand was kind of holding onto the railing and walking. But I made it. I did it. I told Matt that he was not allowed to follow me and shake the bridge and cause chaos as he normally does with the camera in my hand so that I would not drop it or fall, as I was recording and whatnot. But after I was off, you can see him there having a time of his life, shaking the bridge back and forth. That's what he wanted to do while I was on the bridge, but I told him no, he could not. And then walking through here, this is where all the water features are. There's little showers for kids, and all of this area, even the parts that I'm not walking in, are where kids can run around, splash in that little river, run under the waterfall, and all that kind of stuff. There's little geysers and whatnot that they can run through. So perfect for hot days in the summer of San Diego. And then this is the bottom of that little monkey enclosure. The entire bottom is concrete or faux rocks, which would be very easy for cleaning. You could just hose the whole thing off. You can see they've got some browse kind of strewn about across the floor with some actual planted plants in the bottom as well for them. And then coming over here, this is the coatis, which they have a beautiful habitat. They were all snuggled up and sleeping inside their little den. We'll see one of them, which was on the ground and right when I was filming kind of crawled up and went back to sleep. And that was really the only glimpse that I got of them. You can see him right here. He's going to walk up, climb up the top and go into that like hole that's right to the right of him behind the tree. There was a few more coatis back there in the den. So that was really the only glimpse of the coatis that I got. But overall, I am so pleased with Basecamp and impressed with design and all of the animals that they had on exhibit. Everything looks beautiful, and I feel so lucky to live in San Diego and to have the San Diego Zoo as one of my major reference points because it's beautiful and everything that they do is so well laid out and so well fitted to their animals. Little fennec fox here enjoying breakfast, but so well just natural feeling. Like this fennec fox exhibit meets right up with what would be, I think it was the black-tailed prairie dogs and burrowing owls, but the prairie dogs were off exhibit. There is a burrowing owl or two in there, and I go back and focus on them because I actually missed them the first time I walked by this exhibit. But they look like they are one and the same, right? Even though they have a separating wall in between them, they are very much built to look like the same exhibit because they're all, you know, the same environment and stuff like that. And so it's really, really pretty. You can see those little guys. Hopefully you can see them. They're a little bit hard to see behind the mesh because they are so small, but they were up there on the little ledge. Now we're going to go down to what is going to be like the last little building we're going to go through. We've got some reptiles, crocodiles or caimans. I forget which ones are out here. I don't remember if I actually saw any or if there was just turtles. There was many exhibits that didn't have animals out. So I did just kind of film empty exhibits for references anyway. You can see that little turtle on the rock, but I don't see any of the actual little crocodiles or alligators or whatever was supposed to be in that exhibit. I don't actually see them. But we're going to walk down into here, and I think the giant salamander was supposed to be on the left-hand side. Didn't see him at all. And on the right-hand side, there was like a lizard or something like that, I think. But how cool is this room with the blue on the top of the ceiling and all the pictures on the floor? It's absolutely gorgeous. Everything about it. We can see here. Do we actually get to see it? Yeah, he's back there on the back rock, just kind of hanging out, I think, right? Yeah, I don't know. I think so. And then we go over here. We've got some more little, semi-aquatic, aquatic little animals. So we've got some little turtles swimming around. They do have an axolotl, so we get to see him swimming around. The little caiman, I believe, is in this last one that we do get to see. So yeah, we're almost finished up. Even though I hate building interiors in Planet Zoo, this makes me kind of want to build an interior because of how well this is laid out and how beautiful it is. We can obviously see this little caiman here. I'll go down below and show you because he, is mostly below water and much easier to see below water. See how big he is comparative to his little eyeballs and nose, which are out of the water? He looks like he would be so tiny, but he is so much bigger than you think he might be. He's got this huge area to kind of swim around. He was the only one that I saw in there. I'm not quite sure if there was more or not. And then this is our little axolotl friend that came out and started swimming around as I was passing by. So I went back and got a quick little shot of him swimming around. And we're going to leave this building and end up at the bottom of the Binturong, Caracal, and Tamandua exhibits. So you can go up above, which is the ceiling that I'm walking under right now. That's the walkway we were on before. And as we exit out here, there's a little exhibit with nothing on it right there. And I think it was some kind of bird. I can't read that sign as I walk by. But then those stairs will go back up to like the little butterfly room where the leafcutter ants were, or back up top for these exhibits as well. So you can see the Binturong is still sleeping on that little platform. Caracal never came out, but the Tamandua came back out. So we'll see him in just a second here as we kind of go by. I loved looking at their little houses and how they're mounted in the exhibits and how the exhibits are planted and things like that. We can see Tamandua up here hanging out, climbing around. I think he was biting on the bark or licking in like the little holes on the bark. I think the keepers might have put something up there for him, but he's kind of scratching and digging at stuff, looking for little bits of food and whatnot, I'm sure. Really cool to watch. I love those little guys. They're absolutely adorable. And seeing that my last visit to the San Diego Zoo was back in January, I'm due to go back again. I live so close and I go kind of infrequently, actually. So I think I need to go back. I need to see if I can catch these animals again and kind of just do an overall vlog update again. So if you'd like to see that, do definitely let me know down in the comment section below. I might have to do it as like a section type thing because the San Diego Zoo is actually very, very large. So I don't know if I can fit it all into one video or not, but we'll see. I can definitely try. But entering back into this building, this is the bottom portion of that butterfly leafcutter ant exhibit. So you can see here as I walk through this beautifully done little like tree cave thing with all the plants and whatnot. I'm pretty sure this is where all the butterflies are supposed to be flying around in. I'm just doing a quick little overview of this room very quickly, and then I'll show you where the leafcutter ants are actually climbing up and down, because you can see them and watch them break off little pieces of leaves or bite off little pieces of leaves, and they're taking them into the little tunnels down below. So if you look real close, you can kind of see them walking around. The ones that are holding leaves are easier to see because you can obviously see the leaf pieces moving, but completely surrounded by water. So they're on this island and they cannot get off, and they go down into their little tunnels. And then you enter this room over here, which is very dark. So hopefully you can see the important bits here, but you go over and you can see where they're actually taking the pieces of leaves and they're feeding the fungus and whatnot and actually making their little nests and colonies and things like that. So I thought that was pretty cool, and those little bubbles. And then as we go through here, it talks all about, you know, them as what they do and how they, you know, operate as a colony and stuff like that. We've got some really cool sculptures of ant tunnels that, you know, metal was poured down and then it created those sculptures there. As we go through here, we have more invertebrates and things to look at, and also naked mole rats. So for those of you that are San Diego natives, you might remember, but the naked mole rats were a part of the children's zoo a long time ago, and I have childhood memories watching them run around and thinking it was the funniest thing because they just, you know, running around in their little tunnels and whatnot. They're such funny little animals. So I was really excited to see them again because I hadn't seen them in so long. But we're just going to walk through the last of this little building here, which again has the same kind of style exhibits all the way through. And then we're going to just kind of walk around the outside area, show you where the little cafe is. And then Matt and I got on the Skyfari to kind of see the rest of the zoo, and that is where our vlog will be ending for today. So hopefully you got lots of Planet Zoo inspiration, lots of building inspiration, because the architecture at the San Diego Zoo is absolutely gorgeous. It's nice for a, like, you know, up-to-date, modern style zoo with lots of education, lots of colors, really fun stuff for kids. We've got this like little rock climbing thing and rope climbing thing, which I did not go up. Little statues for kids to sit on and things like that. And lots of outdoor eating space. If you want to buy stuff from this Busy Bee Cafe, which is what we're going to go look at. We didn't actually get anything. I just wanted to show you because I think it's a really pretty building, and that the way they built it incorporated the Skyfari ride as well. So really well designed. Here's the menu, just in case you're ever curious. That's what the menu is for that. But yeah, we're going to go get on the Skyfari, and that'll be the end of the vlog. So if you made it this far, definitely do leave a like and hit subscribe if you're interested in any more either zoo vlogs or Planet Zoo content. I do both here on the channel. If you want to follow me, all of my social media links are down in the description below, including my Discord as well as my Etsy shop if you'd like to support the channel just a little bit more. I have lots of adorable pins and stickers and things like that on there that you are welcome to check out if you're interested. But yeah, other than that, I don't really have too much more. We're going to take off here on the Skyfari and get a little bit of an overview of some of the San Diego Zoo. And I very much appreciate you all watching, and I hope you enjoyed. And until the next one, because I do have a few more to get out, I will talk at you in the next video. Bye!